Hello everyone, and happy holidays. Welcome back to the final edition of Season 3 Misfits Racing League action. My name is Stryfium from Canada. Of course, there is snow on the ground here. And joining me from the UK, we have Unicorn. And it is finally time to get Club Division done and dusted, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it's that time. Well, it's not that time of the week. We have Friday, but Tuesday, the last race of season 3. It's very exciting. The festive period is very nearly upon us. You could it's less snowy here, much less snowy in fact. I've seen maybe a puddle of snow in the last month. But yeah, I'm very excited to see this finish.
We're shoveling over here. You're making me very jealous of what you've got going on over there right now. But of course, it is time for the action. We have a fantastic championship battle coming to you today. It is ZZ9, 286 points leading this championship. Right behind him, 284 points, Shenjay, the Alfa Romeo. And then in third, 265 points, Alex Bitto in the Ferrari. So 3 drivers going head-to-head in this one around Abu Dhabi. We're no stranger to the circuit. We did quite a bit of racing around here last week, and it would have been, well, if it wasn't for meddling kids and maybe that dog there, Scooby. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, so Abu Dhabi, of course, Yas Island, the United Arab Emirates, and it is the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. And let's take a look at who's on this grid. We have ZZ9 and Fraser over at Mercedes. Alex Bitto and Bottas Gang for Ferrari. Ben the Bear and Remco Van Putten for Red Bull, with Mito and Burke at McLaren. Seben Zamis for Renault. Freeware and Finn over at AlphaTauri, with Burke Khan and Jones at Racing Point. Shenjay and Money at Alfa Romeo. Tillman Sever Ginakari at Haas. Domi and Mammal rounding out the grid over at Williams. Let's take a look at, well, the most crucial element here, the standings. It is the finale, round 22. This has been a very long season for these racers. For majority of these racers, we've seen a little bit of separation and shuffling through the grid this season, but I have to say the top 10 have been locked in, especially these top 5. Well, top 6 if you throw, well, yeah, the top 10. Mercedes, Red Bull, Alfa Romeo, your top 3 in the constructors right now. Mercedes at the top of that list. And as well at the top of the list, ZZ9 in the Mercedes, 286. Like I said, 284 for Shenjay. And Bitto right there, the top 3 locked in for the title. And that's what you'll have to see. Multiple racing incidents coming out of Brazil around 21. Bitto took a dangerous re-entry warning there. So we'll have to hopefully not see any dramas. We saw a little bit of drama in what was supposed to be the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix on Friday, but some lobby glitches and things like that, bringing that lobby to an abrupt end, unfortunately. Now, with that being said, though, Unicorn, I think we're just about ready to go racing.
Yeah, I think we are. We're getting ready to unleash these drivers around Abu Dhabi for that season finale. We may be focused on those front 3 in the standings, but there's many more drivers on this grid than that, so plenty of action. We saw it all last week. The Grand Prix last week, they were much more action-packed than we maybe were expecting them to be. And I imagine tonight on a slightly off day Tuesday rather than a Friday for Club is going to be more of the same. But the call is going out now to get these drivers readied up. We've got 17 drivers ready and raring to go.
Excellent. All about the tip of the spear in this one, I think, is where a lot of the focus is going to be. But as you said, a ton of drivers in this grid, as it's been all season long, more than capable of putting us through some very intense moments. We have had some very, very unique races throughout this club division season. I think back to Austria, of course. We had a very thrilling race through Austria. And there's been some very epic dramas as well. But it's been a long season, a lot of racing. And it's finally time now to wrap it all up just ahead of the new year, just ahead of Season 4. Of course, the Season 4 applications are now live. You can type !apply in the chat, and that will spit out a nice link there to the application. And tons of racing coming in Season 4. A combined Constructors Championship. Tons of massive news to come out about the season. I am very excited about it, Unicorn. We've talked about it a little bit here and there. I think it's going to be something else.
Yeah, it's something that I'm very much looking forward to. I know a lot of the people in the Discord are as well. It's this season was so good. Obviously my first here at MRL, and now going into season 4, there is a lot to look forward to there. But obviously, to get to season 4, we've got to round out season 3, and well, here we are for the final time. It's a dry qualifying session, as is to be expected around, or in Abu Dhabi, I should imagine.
Well,
Very, very hot climate.
17 drivers. Let's take a look at who is on the grid. We've got Bottas Gang in the Ferrari. Different name today for Mr. Ritchie, normally going by the name of Rudolph through the festive season. However, he's changed things on over to Scrooge Ritchie for today. Not entirely sure why. Van Putten there in the Red Bull. Ben the Bear adjoining him. Verstappen in the Alfa Romeo, he's partnering Shenjie today. We have Domi in the Williams. Junakari, he's in the Haas. Fraser in the Mercedes. Freeware as well on the grid in the Alfa Tauri. ZZ9 in the other Mercedes, he is leading the championship. Now, Henners, he's in the other Haas. He's 11th on this time in tower at the moment. Shenjie there in the Alfa Romeo. Barbie, but he's in the Williams. Now, in the other McLaren, that's Neon. Yeah, okay. I'm not entirely sure what that name was saying. So that's Neon there in the McLaren, and then we have Wavy in the Renault behind him. Biddo, third in the championship. He is in the other Ferrari, and then we have Wisp in the Racing Point. First driver out of the pit lane. Let's take a look here. Well, it's Henry, as he's definitely one of the usual suspects to get out on the grid first.
Yeah, just going back to those names, a lot of them are a little bit hard to read for those representing not only the MRL tag this evening, but also the CFR tag. Obviously, the roots of this league, or this grid, I should say. The club division was, we touched on it last week, the club and Formula Racing league. They merged, and now
where you and I met.
Yeah, exactly. Where everything, started from my MRL journey. So, it's nice to see it's being represented here, and the tags on the timing tower. Quite a few. I think there's at least 5 drivers with it in there, if not more.
Well, you know what? Big respect to that. Of course, Henner's now starting a lap. This is the last race for the club division, as it will effectively be Tier 1, if I'm not mistaken, next season. As we've had a little bit of a reshuffling of the guard, of the order, if you will, for the grids. But Henner's now, he's coming down into this first chicane. And this is a very unique section, as it brings you through into this hairpin. Then you come through Abu Dhabi into, of course, the very, very long straight section of Sector 2. Coming out of Turn 7, the hairpin, all the way down into 8-9. And then that is the 8-9 chicane. Once we come out of there, we have another very nice long straight. A bit of a kink, which we call Turn 10. Here we go, 8, 9. Not utilizing too much of that inside curbing. He runs quite off here. Keeps it valid. I think he definitely waited to get on throttle. We'll see what kind of time he's able to pull through here as he makes his way into turn 11. Very, very fun section of circuit now, Sector 3. A few 90-degree turns here, really to shake things up for these drivers after a nice, cool Sector 2. Now the penultimate turn for Henry. He is going to finish out the lap, rounding through turn 21. How's it going to go for him? It's a 1:33.777. The next driver to cross the line. Well, let's take a look at who that's going to be. It looks like the Williams. There goes Mr. Barbie Butt across the line. A second here, 1:33.879. The Red Bulls are crossing. There goes Ben the Bear, a 1:33.292 here, Unicorn, on the mediums.
Yeah, his teammate Remco Van Putten crossing just behind him, 1:33.666 on the softs. But yeah, that's an astonishing time from Ben to open us up on those mediums. Wavy, he's just crossed third fastest. Bottas Gang hops into fifth, knocked down by Alex Biddo, one of the championship contenders on the soft, at 1:32.791 coming out of the Ferrari there. Very nice stuff. Ritchie goes second at 133.1 again on that soft common tires. ZZ9, the championship leader coming into this race. Will he be the championship winner coming out of it? 132.646. So about a tenth and a half up on Alex Biddo at the moment. Shenjay yet to set a lap time. He's just started a flyer.
A lot of support for Alex Biddo in the chat. We appreciate when we see all the support for these racers. Biddo on a serious charge, for, of course, this championship. ZZ9, his major rival through this entire season. They have been neck and neck this entire season. Let's be honest here. Shenjay was a late addition to that championship lead. He really was. And I think that this has definitely, when we came through here in Australia as CFR Unicorn, we had Ben the Bear pegged as the champion here. And he has had a very dynamic season that has set him out of that fight. But I'll tell you something about Ben the Bear. He can definitely make that fight even tighter at the front of this grid here today. Shenjay now, purple through Sector 2.
Yeah, Shenjay, he's, I think, 2 points off of ZZ9. Alex there, just in fire range of that championship. But like you said, Ben, I certainly, Ben, like we said, it was CFR before. I knew Ben before CFR. Ben's actually how I made it into CFR. So I knew him a little bit beforehand, and I really did, have him down as one of the strongest contenders. As Shenjay at 132.7.
Yeah, he'll be happy about that. Biddo. Nice time from him. Freeware now, another very quick driver. Just behind that big pack of cars has begun a flyer here. And he's another driver who's had some good pace around Abu Dhabi, especially last week when we took to this circuit for, of course, the 4 other divisions of racing. And the big question is, will he be able to throw himself as a monkey wrench into that championship battle? Because the thing about this battle is you have Shenjay and ZZ9, they're separated by 2 points at the front of the bus. Alex Biddo, he has a little bit of a mountain to climb here. He really needs to get a podium, and he needs to see some of these dominoes fall in his favor in order to secure the championship.
Yeah, it really is going to be a struggle for him, but it's possible. It's very possible. He's right now, he's 3rd fastest on this grid. And like you said, if ZZ9, Shenjay have issues, I think the maths has just been done in chat. Jake saying if Alex wins and gets the fastest lap, the highest ZZ9 can finish is P8 and Shenjay P7. So those are the scenarios that Alex has available to him in order to get this win. And ZZ9, very difficult or very rare for him to get a penalty, but if penalties did come into question, that could cause those sort of things to happen, as Freeware crosses 4th fastest at 132.992. Verstappen Ben, he is flying in the other Alfa Romeo.
Freeware, he's very happy about that time guaranteed. Verstappen now, as you said, flying. This is turn 17. Oh man. 20. What's he able to do here? Where's he going to land? He's had some very good runs around here as well. P8 from him the first lap. 133.6. Take a look at the separation on the grid right now from first down to realistically 11th position. It is 1.084. Bottas gang just leaving the pits now. He's on that set of mediums once again. Domi. He's also on another run on that same set of mediums, as is Ben the Bear. And we have 9 minutes now remaining in this session. We are a half of the way through this quali.
Yeah, getting to the halfway point, it's where we're going to see, track evolution start to come in, especially in that last 5 minutes of the session.
Jinakari.
Yeah, I was about to say. Perhaps. Final sector. Yet to set a lap time. So is Fraser, who is also on an outlap, as are many other drivers here.
I wonder if we're gonna. Do you think we're gonna see any toe tactics coming out of the Mercedes squad all season
I
long? We've
imagine we
seen it.
will, yes. I mean, we saw it on Friday, so I imagine we will see it again here. And Sunakari, I don't know whether he invalidated or if that was an outlap glitch, but he hasn't had a time here for me. Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
134.8.
He's got one in there. 134.893, the first run from him. Fraser now letting some traffic through. Actually, that's not traffic. That's the toe that we were just talking about. ZZ9 through 8.9 now. Getting that toe into 8. We'll see if it does anything for him. The current time he's looking to improve is a 132.646. Let's see what he finds coming through into Sector 3 here. He's up only half a tenth right now, Unicorn.
I mean, he's already set a pretty strong time up at the top of that timing tower, and a toe from Fraser could mean all the difference in the benefit against his rivals. Alex is flying now as well, as I believe that's Domi who's just shot into 4th place on the time tower, 132.961 for the Williams. ZZ9, I imagine he'll be feeling pretty confident coming into this, but out of the final curve, it's a faster lap. It's a 132.498, about 1.5 tenths. Again, cleared off his time, and that puts him a quarter of a second up on Shenjie, but both Shenjie and Alex now, both on flyers as well.
Alex, if I'm not mistaken, for those who followed me along on the cameras to punch in with Mr. Alex Bitto, he was up a tenth coming through Sector 1. Let's see what he finds out through Sector 2, keeping it so tight. He is showing very minimal improvement through Sector 2, just the same as we saw from Mr. ZZ9. And now we've had an invalidation through turns 12 and 13. So we'll see him come back in. He's pulling off for a flyer.
Sure, if I'll tell you someone who's not on for a minimum improvement, it's Ben the Bear, running on these fresh softs that he's got on this Red Bull now, coming through the penultimate turn into the final one. He was up half a second through Sector 2. I imagine he's found a lot more through the final sector. There it is, 1.1 seconds to knock his time down to a 132.156, and that is the spanner in the works that we were expecting. Bottas gang, the other Ferrari, hops into second place at 132.3, so 2 tenths faster than ZZ9. But Ben's time, those points, Shenjie,
huge improvement. Huge improvement coming out of Shenjie here, and this is really, really tight at the top of things right now. So ZZ9, Bitto, they're now into the pit lane. That's Ben the Bear, Bottas gang, Shenjie, all with major improvements. Richie, who's here in a reserve capacity today, he's also within a very close proximity. He's got quite the fighting ability, as does Neon. Now Neon in the McLaren, he's been a little bit of a late addition to the MRL this season, coming in a reserve capacity through, I want to say, the final 3 rounds of the season. Now let's take a look. Oh, he's just had a major spin. He's on a flyer, and he's just had a big issue in that McLaren trying to get things fixed.
Yeah, no damage, but he's struggling to get it turned around. Those tyres now probably very, very hot on those rears after doing what was basically a donut there to get that car spun around. Now he's going to have to hang off to let the 2 Haas drivers through, but they're on outlaps as well. So I don't think any of this traffic is actually flying. Although Wavy, in the mix of all of this, the Renault, he is flying.
Well, he was, yeah. But it seems that he's actually dropped the lap, as there's just so much congested traffic. Look at the amount of traffic just on these straights. He's probably thinking, dirty air is all over here. I mean, we had a car doing donuts realistically. You see now he's overtaken Henry. Henry going quite slow in the center of the straight. Majority of the grid in the pit lane at the moment. We'll take a look at the Ferrari garage as Bottas gang's car gets brought in. Bitto, ZZ9, major rivals through this entire season. 4-5 on this grid right now, ZZ9 being the one ahead. Shenjie is actually in a very good position to take a championship given his current position. ZZ9 has just head out of the pit lane. We'll see where Bitto is in just a few moments, but that Mercedes, very, very keen for this championship. You see, Bido doesn't have anything to lose here. It's a big shot for him to get a championship today. Let's not sugarcoat it. But ZZ9 and Shenjie are deadlocked, and it is an absolute grudge match to the end between those two. And they're 3-4 on this timing tower right now, Unicorn.
Oh, Verstappen Benz just had a huge spin and hit the wall on exit of the final turn. Actually, just as you cued me in there, so perfect timing on that one. But yeah, Shenjie and ZZ9, it's basically who finishes ahead of the other. Obviously, they need to be well within the top 5 for that to happen. Obviously, ZZ9, as long as he finishes around Shenjie, he should be safe. But if Shenjie wins, there's nothing ZZ9 can do. There's not enough points in second place, even with a fastest lap, to defend only a 2-point lead. So it really is, the favourites.
Henry. He was on a flyer. He was coming out of the inside curb of turn 8. Big slide out. And he's not going to be happy about that. That's going to ruin a set of tires for him, most certainly. Van Putten, the Dutchman, he's just begun a flyer. He's in the Red Bull. He's looking to get things nice and tight up to the front near his teammate, and we know he's capable of it. He's also, I think, what you and I would consider one of the best defenders in the Misfits Racing League. So he's definitely a driver that wants to put himself as an anchor through this grid. His tire strategy is definitely something that's done that for him as well.
Yeah, Remco Van Putten, almost like a wall on track for some of the drivers who come up behind him. It's not, DRS, no DRS. You're not going to get through there quickly. That Red Bull is going to be your view for the next 4 laps, at least, in most cases. But Henners becomes the first retirement session, pulls it off in the pit lane to just, he's done. And he's the only person in this pit lane, actually, at the moment.
Gianakari, he improved his time. However, it was not good enough to get himself out of 17th position. It was a 007 improvement. Some say his name... No, I'm just kidding. Bond. James Bond. Barbie, but beginning a lap now in the Williams as we come through turn 2. Now through the hanging turn 3.
ZZ9's just received that all-famous toe from Fraser. And Fraser just has the gearbox glitch for me in that second Mercedes, but up 1.5 tenths this time coming out of Sector 2. Can he find anything more through the final sector? That would be enough to beat Shenjie out, but it still wouldn't be the front row as of right now for ZZ9. So he needs to find some time through this third sector. The first sector, he was actually down a few hundredths of a second compared to his previous lap time, but obviously much shorter than sectors 2 and 3. So here he comes around the penultimate corner. The championship leader, where is he going to slot himself in on this grid? P2 for ZZ9 at the moment, 132.259.
That is a very, very good time from him, and that's going to be a big mountain to climb for someone like Bido who's looking to get himself in. But where's Shenjie going to slot himself right now? He's flying ahead of Alex right now. He's in the Alfa Romeo coming through 8-9. Major cut coming out of Shenjie there. I don't know if the stewards will be looking at that post-race. I don't know if that showed up for you. It looked as though he had been completely off track.
Well, I'm on board with Bottas gang at the moment, so I didn't see it, but Bottas gang, the Ferrari, he does improve, and he actually drops ZZ9 back down a place off of the front row. So one Ferrari helping out another, as Alex Bido finds his way through the third sector as well, just behind Shenjie. Ben the Bear, he also found improvement, I think. He is sub 132 now. Shenjie, not going to finish up the lap. Alex, he crosses the line. It's a huge improvement. Only good enough for P4, but that does beat one of his championship rivals, cements himself right between the two. So that top 3 in the standings is now 3, 4, and 5.
Oh, Richie. Richie is right there with them. Right there with them. The separation right now in the top 8 is less than 7/10 on this grid. Back to 9th, you have a second there with Wavy. Things are getting really, really intense for this race now. Ben the Bear, pole position. Bottas Gang second on the front row next to him, and it's ZZ9 lining up next to his championship rival in Alex Bido. Shenjay, the runner-up presently in things, right behind them. Richie in 6th, Freeware 7th, Domi 8th, Wavy in 9th, and Neon rounding out the top 10 here. Wow.
Yeah, there's something interesting I wanted to lay here. Last week we saw Fraser, after safety car, he basically refused to pit. Stayed out on the mediums he started on and sort of held up everyone else to let ZZ9 go. This week, there's a Ferrari ahead of ZZ9 and Shenjay that isn't Alex Bido.
That is very true. That is very true. Bido, with a teammate in the equation today that could very much help him as well when you think about it, because that's not something he had last week. Of course, Bido on pole position last week. This time, it's Ben the Bear. 131.987, the only driver in quali to go sub 132, and Bottas Gang was quite quick behind him, a 132.243, just 2.5 off of Ben. ZZ9 rounding out your top 3. Bido there in the Ferrari 4th with Shenjay 5th, and I will say this, all top 3 championship runners are in the top 5, and this is going to be an absolute grudge match to the end, and I cannot wait. Of course, let's get your predictions in the chat. We'll go through the rest of this grid on the the formation. Qualifying is done. Formation time, Unicorn.
Yeah, this is very... The fact that they're not up at the front, obviously, Ben, we said it before, he's had a lot of issues this season, which means he isn't in this championship fight. But obviously, you can expect Ben to be up there. But there's a few dark horses up there that maybe the championship leaders, they got to contend with. A couple of drivers here, which could make it very interesting. We've got Bottas getting in the equation, Richie Freeware as well. We saw him very competitive last week. So this isn't cut and dry as to who's going to take this championship. Bitto might struggle, considering he needs that win and isn't starting even on the front row. But between Shenjay and ZZ9, it's anyone's game for that top spot, both on the podium this evening and in the championship overall.
Ben the Bear, just that unique. So, you have drivers like Bottas Gang and Ben the Bear in this equation with such speed. They really present challenges for ZZ9 and Bido here, as well as Shenjay, realistically speaking. But when you look at Bido, he needs a serious haul of points. He needs a serious haul of points. And when you've got Ben the Bear in good form, you've got Bottas Gang coming to race today, it puts things in a very difficult bind for Alex. But this is a 28-lap race, and if the race that we had to red flag on Friday was any indicator, anything can happen. Absolutely anything can happen. So I really don't know how this one is going to pan out. We've got 3 drivers starting this race on mediums. Verstappen, Ben, Hanners, and Wisp, the 3 drivers on the mediums in this one. But of course, Unicorn, take us through who is on this grid.
Yeah, well, we've got Ben up in that pole position, and Nico in the chat telling us he's 3rd in the world here around Abu Dhabi, so it's no surprise that he sits on that front row. Joining him is Bottas Gang in the Ferrari. The second row, ZZ9 championship leader alongside the other Ferrari. Alex Bido 3rd in the championship, still with a glimmer of hope to win it here this evening. Shenjay, the 3rd and final rival in that championship bid. He sits in 5th alongside Richie in 6th place. Freeware starts in 7th alongside Domi in the Williams in 8th. Wavy in 9th, and Neon rounds out the top 10. Then Barbie Bar in 11th. Verstappen Ben, the first of the medium runners, in 12th. Remco Van Putten and Fraser in 13th and 14th. Henners and Wisp, they both have opted for the medium tyres as well, and Ginekari on the softs rounds out this grid in the second of the 2 Haas cars as the leaders have reached the grid. They're lining up, just waiting for everyone else to round the last couple of corners before we get underway here for not only Club's finale, but the Season 3 finale as well. The swan song of the season. And everyone just about getting ready to go racing here
Well, all of the drivers now on the starting grid. All of the position getting corrected here, and it is 3, 4, 5 red lights around Yas Island. It is the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, and the racers are away. Alex Bitto off the line, ZZ9 off the line well as into turn 1. We've got Bottas Gang already ahead of Ben the Bear here. There's been a big issue. Ben the Bear and Bottas Gang have come together off the start of this race. Bottas Gang has retired. Ben the Bear has been caught up, and the VSC has been deployed as well. That is Fraser in the lead of this. No, not Fraser. Who is in the lead of this race right now? The timing tower has completely had an issue here, and it's ZZ9 and Bitto, the front 2 cars in this race. Wow. Well, that was not the start I was expecting.
Yeah, there's more to be said as well. ZZ9, like you said, and Bitto are in first and second. Shenjie has a 5-second penalty already to add to his tally as he drops below Domi. I don't know if there's any damage. It's not. It's just Domi up the inside, down into turn 8. Very nicely done from the Williams. He's had an excellent start. Free West spun as well just after the collision between Ben and Bottas Gang. So he's down in 16th now as well. But there are battles up and down this grid. Both Williams had a good start. Remco Van Putten is up 7 places as well from where he started this race. So an excellent start.
A big battle right now between Neon and Fraser, as Fraser is into 9th position. He's moved up a couple slots from where he began. That was a nice move from him on the inside. It looked like through 11. Actually, it might have been around the outside. I'm not entirely sure how that battle exchange. We'll have to get it later. But now this train is in formation, and I have to say this is going quite well for both ZZ9 and Alex Bitto. Bitto and ZZ9 able to fight as they've done all season long, with Shenjie having a little bit of issue at the back. And of course, let's not forget to mention Shenjie. Well, by the luck of the stewards, it would seem he was almost actually not going to be permitted to race this finale as a result of too many penalty points accumulated. Due to an appeal and a turnover, he was permitted to race, really throwing this championship into a very dramatic fashion.
Yeah, and that start has really helped. I think Alex Bitto's bid for the championship. He's now up into P2, whatever the timing tower might be saying. He's still in second as of right now, but now he's much closer to being within reach of that race win that he so desperately needs. His big problem right now is obviously the person who's sitting in that P1 spot is ZZ9, and even if ZZ9 was to finish second behind Alex, he would still win the championship here tonight. So a little work still to be done if the Ferrari wants to take it, but a strong start for him, and already a few cards falling in his favor.
We're going to have updated intervals in just a few moments for those tuning into the timing tower. It's been taking a couple laps to really get going lately, hasn't it there, Unicorn? These timing towers.
Yeah, it really makes our job a lot more difficult. And, thankfully I think we've raced with a lot of these drivers for so long now that their names are synonymous with what the cars look like, so we can clearly identify who's in what, but it would still be very nice if we had functioning deltas there as they all start pouring in now as the drivers cross the line to start lap 3.
We're looking for the tightest gap on track to see really who is in the thick of it right now. But I have to say, the train is in session. Everybody's being nice and patient here. I don't think anybody wants safety cars. I think everybody's kind of happy with this race to come down to strategy. We've already got a major retirement in Bottas Gang, and it's very unfortunate to see Bottas Gang retire here as soon as the race gets underway, really, after a very good qualifying performance from him.
Yeah, he was in such an interesting position as now Remco Van Putten is on the hunt for P5, looking to get past Shenjie. I don't think he's going to find it, but he was very, very close.
Wisp on the rear of Henry as well, coming down into 8 here, and he's sticking nice and tight with him. Bitto still clawing his way within reach of ZZ9. He's got that DRS as well, and I have to say this is probably quite good for Bitto in the sense that ZZ9 will not have DRS on any drivers ahead, giving Bitto a very good opportunity to save as Wisp now coming into 11 gets the move up on Henry through the inside.
Yeah, Remco again was getting close to Shenjie, but a little slide through turn 14 has cost him a bit of time to the Alfa Romeo, but everyone is just so tightly packed in this train, like you said, other than the bottom three right now. They're all falling off just a little bit. But as Alex Bido and ZZ9 start to pull away a little bit from Richie, Richie doing very well. He's up 3 places from where he started. But if they pull away, like you said, Alex with that DRS on ZZ9, he'll be in a nice position to really try and make a bid for that race lead.
Richie having performed quite well this past Saturday in a race, well, in a group of races. I got to commentate with Mr. Dirk Chocolate for his Choco Teams event, and well, he was known as Rudolph then, now he's Scrooge, so I'm not entirely sure why, but here we have him right now under serious threat in this train from Domi. We'll see what the Williams is able to do. Everybody with that DRS moves are hard to come by, but Fraser says, Wavy, I need 8th, thank you very much. And Wisp and Henners are continuing to exchange as Henners gets back through ahead of the racing point, and we've got multiple exchanges coming down into turn 8 here, and that's what that straight's for. All these drivers utilizing Slipstream and DRS. As we look right now, Richie still sticking with Bido, but I think Wisp and Henners are going to have another exchange, as there it is. Wisp on the inside of Henners down into 11. And that is, again, the second exchange between these two on this lap. Verstappen Ben has just taken a 3-second time penalty, and you have to keep in mind that Verstappen Ben, Wisp, Henners, all these drivers, they're all on these mediums, and Henners, no penalties at the moment. He's in the best position between the three. Bottas gang now leaving the session again. Very unfortunate to see his car retired out of this equation so early, but now it's Domi within 0.3 of Richie coming out of 21. Let's see what he's able to do coming into lap 5.
Yeah, he's been very close to the rear of that McLaren throughout that entire final sector, really utilized, being dragged along down that second straight as Gianakari has had an issue in the Haas. He's dropping behind Freewet and Ben, who have had pit stops in this race. Not quite sure what has happened to Gianakari there, but back on track. I can't see any damage, but I was about to say there isn't any, although it looks like he is A-OK as the leaders, once again, with DRS enabled, looking to swap positions with one another.
When you're in a train like this, it's going to take risks, and Domi going offline a little bit there. I saw it from Shenjay's broadcast POV, and I'm not entirely sure what happened there. Was it a lockup causing him have to cut in, or was Richie early?
Well, he had a lockup. I don't know whether that was as a result of anything. I wonder whether he was just maybe trying to late block Shenjay doing the same thing to him, as Wisp and Henners have yet another exchange down for P12.
They're just dancing. Van Putten, we know him to be a very, I mean, I can't actually peg him as a patient driver, an aggressive driver, because I feel like it really depends on the circuit. And you look at Shenjay right now, this 5-second penalty, I mean, you know that Van Putten knows about it, but here's the thing: Shenjay can serve a 5-second penalty. He'll shave that off when he comes in at the end of this stint, and that's going to be soon. That's going to be soon.
The problem Shenjay has is that yes, he can get rid of that penalty, but where does that put him? Because serving 5 seconds in the pits could lead him to have a huge chunk.
Well, it could put him all the way into 13th right now. Put him all the way into 13th right now. Wisp and Henry are keeping that gap so tight. They're giving one another the DRS to stick with Verstappen Ben, even though the gap's nearly 4 seconds. Domi.
Well, here goes Domi, yeah. Very, very close to Richie. Looks up the inside for the lunge into 8. Nicely done for the McLaren to hold him off now, but that is the kind of move that Alex Bido will want to be seeing in history, where as here he goes for lead of this race. The Ferrari takes first for the first time this evening, and look at the battery distance drift between that Mercedes and Ferrari. Alex Bido has just been biding his time, waiting patiently, and now he has the lead. Can he draw out a second using that battery? 2ZZ9, he's already got 0.6 between the pair of them, and this is what he needs if he stands any hope of getting first place in this championship.
I think this is bad news for ZZ9. Because you think about Richie in this equation, he's matched up with Bito on energy deployment. Bito's he's got to pull out a serious gap on ZZ9 quickly. He needs to get it done before DRS becomes a major issue and he gets slotted into where he was. Well, he doesn't want to be the ZZ9 any longer. Bito. He had ZZ9 in a very unique position. Now he needs to pull away from ZZ9, or ZZ9 will be able to do exactly the same thing to him, except Richie's in this equation with a very, very good reserve of energy.
Yeah, well, Alex Villa doesn't want ZZ9 to do exactly what he's done and just reserve a ton of energy. But actually, it's ZZ9 who's deploying the ERS, and it's Alex who's reserving it now. So ZZ9 really trying to just eat into the gap ahead. But like you're saying, I think the biggest problem for ZZ9 is not just Richie, but if he gets dragged into this battle between Scrooge and Richie and Domi here, and that opens it up to Shenshei. Turning into a Christmas Carol over here as ZZ9 now there.
Oh, what a lunge out of Richie!
A huge lunge of the McLaren, and he's made it stick. Very, very nice move, very clean. And this is, like you said, very bad news for ZZ9.
Well, he's got Domi crawling up his...
Yeah.
Oh, he is... Domi!
And again, the battery.
Domi had the front row seat to that. We saw it. We were on board with Domi. Richie went for a serious lunge. He got ZZ9 done and dusted. Now Domi a little bit of a tap into the rear of the Mercedes. Now we're coming through the final turn of this lap. Bito leading this race, and this is the thing. Oh, this is the problem for... He's pulled a second out on Richie, just barely. Has the fight between ZZ9 and Richie been enough to let Bito get away here? This is crucial for Alejandro. If he can pull this out, on Richie... Oh, but... You love these situations, don't you, Unicorn?
Well, I'm not sure what's going to happen here. I don't know who's going to lose DRS first. I don't know if Richie's actually catching Alex as well. He's done what Alex did to ZZ9. So not only ZZ9 as well, but he's chasing Bito now, who has still got a huge reserve of ERS. And is going to use that to its fullest. We're not too far away from the pit window either for these racers. So that is going to have an impact
Domi.
in just a moment. Yeah, there he goes.
On the inside through 9. He's ahead. Does he get ZZ9 clear here? ZZ9 with the DRS over Domi on the move back into 11.
Shenshei as well, though.
Oh,
he's backed out.
This is so tight, wheel to wheel. Domi, ZZ9 coming through 12, coming through 13. Domi, he's back into 4th, and all of this fighting. Shenshei's rubbing his hands together. He wants a piece of this cake. Then Putin's just there. Barbie Butt, Fraser, the whole squad is right behind. And lockup starting to come through on these softs. I wonder who the first driver to blink is going to be as well into the pit lane. We haven't even seen the stops come into this race yet, Unicorn. And this is what we should have seen on Friday.
Yeah, well, Striff, look at the gap now between Richie and ZZ9. 1.5 seconds. So Bito now is 2 seconds clear of the championship leader in ZZ9. This race start has been almost perfect for him. His teammate, you know, it would have been nice as Neon becomes the first of the drivers to hop into the pit lane. It's a second set of soft. He's going for a soft medium here, Strip.
It's a very
very
strategy.
Interesting strategy for the McLaren. I can't imagine that's going to be the most popular thing we see on this grid, but it's certainly what we're seeing first. Very unique strategy is.
Verstappen up the inside into the hairpin. He's going to dispatch Wavy here. They're wheel to wheel on the exit. It's like an absolute drag race. I don't think... Oh, there it is. Verstappen with the DRS, and you can see that car just pull clear through ahead. Almost no contest as soon as that rear wing opened.
Well, both Bito and Richie utilising some ERS to try and get a best exit out of 10 that they can down into the chicane. Richie not able to pull off another lunge, but it's Domi around the outside.
Oh!
Here he goes through the chicane, and it's the Williams up into P3, and now ZZ9 is really, really struggling, and now he's got his championship rival in Shenshei right behind him, and Shenshei's got a 5-second penalty, so he'll want to get in front of ZZ9 and just sort of slow him down a little bit.
Van
Cost him as many
Putin's
points as
had an
possible.
issue. Barbie-Butt's gone into him. Fraser's evaded this, and how has Verstappen weaved his way through this? It doesn't look like any cars got caught up heavily in that, and there was an entire car across the circuit.
Well, Wavy and Van Putten had a little bit of coming together. Van Putten showing some nice sportsmanship, letting the Renault back through.
Was that
Very
like...
nice from him as they go into the pits. Maybe predicting trying to preemptively strike a safety car because the top 5 haven't done it.
Was that like Van Putten just, you know, just... Hold on, let me just bust the move real quick here. And come into the pit lane anyway. You know, halftime show? I don't know what that... Okay. All right, then. Now everybody's coming into the pit lane. Everybody's coming into the pit lane. We got Bito, Richie, Domi, ZZ9. Top 4 right now. They've all stayed out. You got a huge chunk of cars coming out onto these mediums now. Wow. This race is just... It's so great. Now we have Bito. We have an exchange for lead of things, and there it is. Richie. He's taking the Spaniard into 8. McLaren leading this race. That is Scrooge on the move. Richie leading club division here. Bito, DRS. Of course, he's going to look for an opportunity to get back into leading things into 11. And Richie, nice and gradual on the braking there. He's just going to follow through. Now, do they pit? I think they have to respond here to that pit.
For sure, and the chat's picked up on it as well, but Shenjie pitted there amidst the carnage to get rid of that 5-second penalty he picked up. So now, penalty free, he's leading, apart from Neon, on those fresh softs we saw him go for a lap earlier than everyone else. Shenjie now sits in 12th place ahead of Van Putten, Wavy and Fraser. So a nice stop from him. Jinikari, oh, it's in the pit lane. But now the lead is into the pit, and Bito's got Richie. I don't know if he was ahead into the pit lane.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was. They took.
Okay.
So yeah, Bito was leading out of turn 11. They had a switchback coming through sector 2, and now they're coming in. The question is, where do they land? Yeah, where's Shenjie in all of this? I think even more importantly, well, Van Putten's a little bit behind Shenjie now. Let's take a look. The undercut, Shenjie coming down out of the final turn.
What's going on in the pit lane? Jinikari's car is stuck and Scrooge is parked behind it, and he's got disqualified. That's very, very unfortunate.
Was there a lockup? Was there?
No,
that's
Jinikari's
a
car
tight.
was like parked.
Oh.
The DNF car was just sort of parked there, and it's caused Richie to just get stuck behind it.
Oh, I understand what happened.
Because of that tunnel exit.
So Jinikari retired his car in the pit lane. The AI car leaves the pit lane, clogs the pit exit. Richie gets held up. He gets disqualified for blocking pit exit, and then everybody else is... Oh, dear.
Well, Alex, seeing what's going on track, breezing past Ben the Bear, 8-lap-old mediums for the Red Bull. A little bit deep for the Spaniard, but he does make it through. And he's into P5 now. ZZ9's in 10th, and Shenjie's in 9th. If Alex can keep climbing, if Shenjie and ZZ9 get stuck in traffic, this is where the Spaniards needs those two drivers to be. Right down at the bottom of the point scoring positions, preferably out of them for him. But the championship is very much alive for him. It's not there for the taking just yet. He's still got over half the race to go. A lot of positions he needs to overtake. We've got a yellow flag in sector 1. Who is that? Is that Verstappen? All the mediums. He's had a problem. Is there a puncture on that car, or has he just spun it?
I don't see any damage. He was nearly stationary coming out of turn 1 here. What the heck was that?
Someone else I'm looking at as well is Neon, who's just caught Verstappen for the lead. He's on these fresh soft strip. Does the strategy work out as Verstappen goes very, very deep into the hairpin, and that's Neon and Bito through. And now Bito is in second place behind someone on fresh softs. And
he's got DRS and everything as well. He's just flying along. So, as it stands right now, I think Shenjie would win. Shenjie has fastest lap and P6 over ZZ9, which would make him champion. Bito has just taken lead of this race, which puts him 2 points shy of the championship win as it stands right now. He needs to get, I think, fastest lap here, and he needs ZZ9 to fall into 8th.
Yeah, as it stands, Alex doesn't win.
And he needs Shendrey to fall, and he needs Shendrey and ZZ9 beyond, I think. He needs Shendrey in 7th, ZZ9 in 8th, and Bido needs to win with fastest lap in order to take a championship here. And then maybe we can say he's won the championship by 1 point, Kimi Räikkönen style.
Oh, Ben's had an issue.
Oh, well, Ben's going to really make it more interesting now. Cars coming through here. Williams, Alfa Romeo are through. Is this going to be a safety car or anything of a kind? We've seen cars have their issues through this section of circuit before. Everyone moving through. Ben's now at the back of the bus. And there is not going to be any VSC as a result of this.
I'm still trying to work out who wins out of ZZ9 and Shenji right now. Because I think as it stands, they might finish on even amount of points. And I don't know who wins. I don't know if Shenji takes the position as a result of being on less points at the start of the race. As he, well, now he would win the championship as he overtakes Freeware.
ZZ9's right on the rear Freeware as well. Freeware closing the door on ZZ9 here as we come into 8-9. Let's see how it goes. ZZ9 on the inside. He's looking to slip through. Does he get Freeware here? Freeware on these very old mediums. He had to pit quite early. Let's take a look at the position changes now as all of the stops have come through. Freeware. He's about to get mugged, I think, unless he can hold tight. He's actually a little bit later on the brakes than ZZ9, keeping 5th. And the longer he's able to keep 5th away from ZZ9, the worse out it is for ZZ9 in this equation, of course, because he wants to catch Shenji. Verstappen Ben has had a retirement. That's coming out of turn 3. And that's going to be very interesting to see. Well, was that in the pit lane and the car came out, or was that crash?
That might be the case. I wouldn't want to put my money on it, but judging by where that car was parked up and how Verstappen's last lap went, I would not be surprised if CC9 has a huge kick out of the rear out of the final turn. And he is literally watching his championship slip through his fingers in the form of Shenji just getting smaller and smaller into the distance.
Razor 1.5 on the rear of Van Putten right now, and he's on these mediums just the same. You have Van Putten with a penalty. 3 seconds for Freeware, 3 seconds for Van Putten. We've got 3 seconds for Wavy, as well as 3 seconds for Wisp currently on this grid. Alex Bido doing a good job on the mediums right now to pull a significant gap over Neon as he's overtaken by Domi coming down the straight.
And ZZ9, he picks up the place on Freeware, and Remco as well might have a look. Not able to squeeze past the AlphaTauri as well. But ZZ9 now looking to re-hunt down Shenji, but he's out of DRS range drift. As Neon coming back around the outside of Domi really wants that P2 back, and this is just going to extend the gap that Alex Bido has already got. But Domi defends up the inside through 13. They're still side by side coming through 14, but the Williams holds on to P2. This does work out well for Shenji, who's now closing to the podium spots as Neon and Domi battle. But if he gets caught up and isn't able to just breeze through, that could extend the gap to Alex Bido. But the gap's irrelevant. It's how many points do these guys score at the end of this race.
Razor right now, he's caught up to this train in Van Putten and Freeware because Freeware has been holding up Van Putten. And with this, if Razor, no penalties, is able to catch himself up to his teammate here, this could be a good position come the end of this race should we see a safety car or see a change of the guard in the dynamics, because, of course, teammates. Shenji, he doesn't have a teammate in this race as Verstappen Ben's out of the equation now. Bido doesn't have a teammate in this equation, but ZZ9 does. We'll see if Razor can, well, pull a cat out of the hat or put together some kind of trick here to get this situation sorted, because as it stands right now, Shenji would win this championship.
Yeah, Remco, he gets past Freeware, and I think Remco...
Oh, here goes Fraser up the inside of Freeware as well. Big lockups there from Van Putten. As Freeware's actually tapped Van Putten, there's a little bit of jostling here for who's going to have a better exit out of 9. Fraser, DRS for him. Freeware not utilizing as much juice right now. That's Fraser into 7th, and that was a very unique exchange, and Fraser's doing exactly what we just said. He needs to get to ZZ9.
Yeah, I think ZZ9... Obviously, Shenjie is a problem. He's actually catching Shenjie quite a lot. ZZ9's actually had a good moment here because he's able to break away from Van Putten. If Remco was able to get in front of ZZ9, if Reba hadn't have held him up, you know, ZZ9, if he had Remco in front of him, we were talking about it earlier, how good Remco is at defending, that would have been game over, I think. So he's avoided having a rolling roadblock placed in front of him in the form of that Red Bull. Fraser now really putting in a shift to try and just catch up to his teammate and put in a really nice stint as rear gunner.
Yeah, but look who he's got to get through. Look who Fraser's got to get through.
Yeah, the Remco Van Putten works both ways.
Yeah, he's a wall, as you said earlier in the broadcast. The thing about Abu Dhabi, though, Sector 2,
Shenjie.
it just crumbles walls.
Oh, that's incredible places.
Those softs are dying. Those softs are really starting to fall off compared to mediums right now. Let's take a look at Van Putten. He's still holding off Fraser as we come through 8 and 9. On the exit, how's it going to go for Fraser? He needs a good exit here. I think Van Putten might hold this. He does not have a lot of battery at his disposal either. Van Putten now squeezing, holding him to the inside as hard as he can here. Keeping late on the brakes. Keeping tight. Fraser getting through. But now, near 4 seconds the gap to ZZ9 ahead. ZZ9, he's catching up with Neon. And this is crucial. If he's able to catch Neon quickly, he might be able to bring himself through on Shenjie very soon as well. And if he can catch Shenjie, that's his title chance right there.
He needs to outscore Shenjie by literally any margin. A quarter of a point would do it. But obviously, we don't have quarter of a points, and right now, Shenjie would outscore ZZ9 quite substantially as it stands, and really just settle the title decider. Alex Bedo is still up in P1, so if Shenjie and ZZ9 were to have spins, you know, something of that nature, it's still on for him. He's doing everything he can in his power to give himself the best chance at what he could do. We've got some live standings updating as well. They're going to be a little bit outdated as ZZ9 hots past Neon, but if ZZ9 was to finish in 5th where he was just before that move,
well, one thing you can say for certain,
worked out.
This is something that's really crazy. The points gap between ZZ9 and Shenjie is 2 points. So if Shenjie finishes 2nd and ZZ9 finishes 3rd, that's a separation of 1 point. Shenjie would win a title by 1 point. Neon's making it quite difficult for that exchange to happen because he's just taken that position back from ZZ9 through the 11, 12, 13 turn complex there into Sector 3.
Yeah, well, you have to remember Shenjie still has that extra point for fastest lap at the moment, but someone on the screen could easily steal that one away. But as it stands, now that ZZ9 is back behind Neon, Garavello's point scoring is back into effect with Neon into the pits now, but Shenjie would win 300 points to ZZ9's 296, and Alex Widow would be 290. But ZZ9 now up into 4th place, and with it a few more points would come his way should the race finish like this. But we've still got 10 laps to go, and if last week's races are anything to go by, anything can happen here on track at Abu Dhabi, and 10 laps is plenty of time for it to happen.
Of course, if you're just tuning in, if you're new to the Misfits Racing League, this is the finale. This is the final race of the Season 3 season, the final race out of all 5 of our divisions, of course. If you're looking to do some serious racing with some competitive edge, apply today. The application for Season 4 is out. I'm so excited, and it is... Considering the amount of applicants, I'm quite scared at how tight these races are going to be. You and I might be quite busy next season there, Unicorn.
Yeah, we have seen a lot of applications fly in, and a lot of them are new faces as well, I do believe. So plenty of new names are going to be on these timing towers come next season, I do expect. So
Three
yeah,
wide,
very
almost
exciting
into turn
prospect.
11 right now. Henry, Wisp, Neon. Neon's taken both of them. And Henry and Wisp, they've had a little bit of an issue. Oh, Henry now holding with Wisp. That was almost, that could have gone really bad. That could have gone really bad there. These kids have been together all race. Henry and Wisp have just been, yeah, let's have a wheel-to-wheel exchange for 28 laps through Abu Dhabi. Sound like fun? Yeah, let's do it. You know, they've probably got the radios patched into one another right now.
Yeah, I imagine they're having a blast here in this one last race. Who is that? It's Remco van Putten having a huge off in Sector 1. He's saved the car. Just probably picking up a penalty or at least a warning for the off track there, but he'll be happy he hasn't lost an end plate or worse.
Not entirely sure. I only had the the back end of whatever happened there, and it looked quite interesting, to say the least.
Well, he had a huge slide coming out of turns 3 and 4, and he just sort of snapped it back on itself. He snapped out of how he should be driving and snapped back into it on the large off track there. So he's lucky as to where it happened on circuit, because anywhere close to a wall, I think that would have been an easy retirement and possibly a safety car, which would have shaken this race up, turned it completely on its head.
Henry is just waving goodbye right now to Mr. Wisp into turn 11. And this is something, what we just saw from Henry was he actually had a very, very big gap to close on Wisp into that turn. But he didn't take Wisp into turn 8-9. He waited until turn 11 because he wanted to get the move done maybe. But they've been battling this entire race. I would think after 20 laps, they've tried everything in the book and they just can't shake one another here.
Yeah, gaps now are starting to sort of extend just that little bit more. Domi, though, is still on the rear of Alex for lead of this race, and it's not just the championship race on here, it's the last race of the season overall. A lot of these drivers race in other divisions, probably weren't expected to be racing this week, and well, they've been given one last opportunity to steal a win away from their competitors. So Domi looking to do just that here. He may not be in the championship running for that win, but he's certainly in for a win around here if he plays his cards right, as now he's within 3/10 of Alex Bidot for lead of this race, and he does have a penalty.
See, I gotta be honest with you. I think that Alex Bidot came in here with one focus, and that focus was just to win this race. And the dominoes would fall however they do. And he's been doing a very good job of that. Domi with the penalty. Henners and Wisp now, of course, having another exchange as Henners again into turn 11, getting Wisp. So I'm assuming they had an exchange somewhere, because this is just the same positions they were in the last time we checked in. The last lap.
Well, Alex can't do much more to benefit himself other than win this race. Obviously, fastest lap would be nice, but strategy has to come first into winning this race. But 25 points is the most you can get for a position, and right now he's set on course to get all 25 of them. But Domi looking to try and take a few of them from him, and well, it's looking pretty bleak now for the Spaniard. But you know, it's not over until
I'd say it's bittersweet.
Line.
He takes a win, maybe. We'll see. We'll see. We've got quite a few laps of running left. Ben the Bear has just shot himself in the foot with a 3-second time penalty. 14. How many seconds? Let's see. What is the gap to the driver ahead for Ben the Bear right now? I think it's 16 or so seconds. 17 and a half to Freeware at the moment.
This battle for the lead right now is just pretty close, but ZZ9 as well on the rear of Shenjie now. He's caught the Alfa Romeo.
This is a battle of extreme importance. This is it now.
This is the championship.
This is
right
the
here.
championship fight. The dog fight is in session, ladies and gentlemen. Get that popcorn, because here it is. Shenjay, no penalties. ZZ9, no penalties. The fastest lap, it's off the table. Freeware equalized it, so it's between these two right now. And I'll tell you something. If things landed how they were right now, Shenjay would win this championship. ZZ9 needs third or second over Shenjay. He needs to win over Shenjay in these positions, or he's out of the equation. And it's Shenjay's championship. And he's 3 seconds off the rear of Domi right now. Domi's got a penalty, and that's huge. That's absolutely huge, because that could put Shenjay into second position.
Yeah, that promotion would pretty much seal the deal. The only thing that could happen if these guys battle, and I mean, the driver behind them right now is Fraser, and he has one goal this evening, and that's to try and help his teammate get this championship, I imagine. Fraser not in the title fight himself, and I think his position is safe and sound in the championship. I do believe he's in about 5th place, so I'll be happy with that. He can't improve upon his place, but obviously ZZ9 now. Here we go. The run is here. Domi's overtaken Bido for the lead, and now ZZ9 takes Shenjay for P3.
That's not just lead of the race.
Right there.
That's just lead of this championship right there, Unicorn. That's huge. At first, it was very, very tough for ZZ9. Shenjay had that fastest lap point, really making this an interesting equation, but as Freeware has neutralized that point, he's taken that point off the board for both of these drivers on the older mediums. If ZZ9 finishes this race ahead of Shenjay, he becomes the club division champion.
Yeah, and Shenjay pitted that lap earlier, taking advantage of that carnage a little bit earlier in the race, and now that might come to bite him in the back here, because look, his tyres are 1 lap older, and it may not seem like much now, but come the end of this race, when these tyres are feeling rough, his are going to feel just that little bit rougher than ZZ9's, and as well, to extend that branch, Alex Bido and Domi as well, who is currently up in lead of this race. Like you said, though, that 3-second time penalty might cost him not only 1 place, but it could cost him 2 as well. And, well, ZZ9 would probably quite like to round this race out with a win. But Alex Bido, that's his slot right now. He's just going to... I imagine he's going to harvest a bit of ERS off of this Williams if he can. Use the DRS that he's now getting from being in P2 within that second of Domi. Charge up that battery and use that to defend with all his might in the closing 5 laps of this Grand Prix.
This has been a very, very thrilling race now. We've got ZZ9, the leader of the championship as it stands coming into this race. Bido third, Shenjay.
Bido picks up a penalty.
Oh no, and that's the last thing he wants now, and this could really hurt him as ZZ9 is within 2.5 seconds of the Spaniard. He was hanging onto a race win. He had a race win in his pocket with 5 laps to go as they cross the line. And this is going to be very, very hard for Bido here to pull a gap on ZZ9. He needs ZZ9 and Shenjay. He needs ZZ9 and Shenjay to fight. He needs them to battle hard, and right now, I don't know if Shenjay's got it in him.
Well, this championship is looking... Well, it's changed pretty much every lap for the past 4 laps, I think, as to who would have had the win around here, and now that 3-second time penalty, I think, is the final nail in Alex Bido's...
ZZ9's just taking a penalty. Shenjay has no penalties. He's within a second of ZZ9 run lap 24. This is massive. This is massive. This is Shenjay with a potential championship in hand. But it's Shenjay, and we know him well. And we know that there's still a lot of running left in this race. But if he just holds onto ZZ9, this is a championship. But if he takes a penalty, everything's going to change. Everything. As Bido and Domi, they're looking to make changes. Domi, Bido, wheel to wheel as we make our way ahead into turn 11.
Well, them exchanging is just going to draw the 2 guys behind closer and closer as Ben takes fastest lap. He's way down in 13th place, but I think he's just taking that fastest lap just to prove that he's still here after that spin earlier in the race took him out of anything, and also the crash at the start. But These penalties, they're making things very exciting. Alex Bido wide through the final sector. And look who is knocking on his door now. He actually pulls off. Was that a mistake?
No, he doesn't want Shenjay to win the championship. Alex Bido doesn't want Shenjay to take a championship here. He is going to play rear gunner for ZZ9. The Ferrari says if I can't have it, Shenjay's not having it. And this is a big problem for Shenjay. This is a huge problem for Shenjay.
That is something you don't see every day, but Alex Bido.
Is that Vettel and Hamilton? Is that Vettel and Hamilton like having it like, you know, one of their bromance? I don't know what this is. I don't know what I'm watching, but Shenjay's on the rear of Alex Bido.
Well, here comes DRS, ERS to the max. There's nothing Alex can do now to stop the Alfa Romeo, but he's done the biggest favor he can possibly offer ZZ9. And that's what Shenjay 1.8.
But Bido's gonna have DRS into turn 11. Shenjay has made the cardinal mistake that everybody's made in this race. He doesn't have DRS. ZZ9's pulling a gap. This is huge. Bido's gonna make it even harder through sector 3. Oh my god. Domi's taking an additional penalty. If ZZ9 crosses the line within 3 seconds of Domi, he takes a win.
This is crazy. Bido just holding the inside. There's nothing Shenjay can do. There's no way past through sector 3 here. And Alex Bido. Well, this isn't how I thought we would see this go down, but the final 3 laps. Who takes this? ZZ9 is now just what is that? Like 2/10 away from being that 3-second penalty clear of Shenjay here.
If he can clear Alex.
Still holding him in turn 1.
If he can clear Alex into 3rd position, maintain no penalties to the end of this race, and charge through, there's a chance. There's a chance. But this, oh man, my heart is beating out of my chest. The smile, the grin, this is what we love to see. Ladies and gentlemen, how are you liking this in the chat?
ZZ9 needs to catch Domi for DRS, and he's doing a pretty good job right now. Here goes Shenjay again. He's going to do it again. He's going to overtake Bido now.
He can't be doing this into turn 8 and 9.
But it's got battery advantage as well now because of the Shenjay, because Shenjay used it. And now look, the gap's 3.5 seconds anyway. We're 2 laps from the end, and right now, as it stands, ZZ9 would win. And here comes the Ferrari. Once again, it's P3 for Alex Bido down into turn 11. Bido's championship is pretty much over for those in the chat asking, but ZZ9's hopes are now very much alive as a result of Alex Bido sort of putting his life down on the line, sacrificing himself to prevent Shenjay from getting the win here. If I'm right in saying Shenjay
Neon and Barbie Butter having a wheel-to-wheel exchange through turn 14 right now. They're side by side. Let's take a break for a second and look at some things at the back of this points battle. As there's a big switch out from Barbie, but he's looking for the inside on Neon, but Neon into 7th position, holds it there for now. As Henners and Wisp are just having a nice old exchange. 27 laps they've been going at it. Now Shenjay still on the rear of Alex Bido within half a second. There's a position separating him and ZZ9, but he has no penalties. And this is crucial now. We're on the penultimate lap of this race. ZZ9, he is in a second range of Domi. He will have DRS into turn 8 and 9 if he wins this race. If he wins this race, and Shenjay, for whatever reason, cannot... Well, if he can't catch him on penalties, and that is the current situation, ZZ9 now leading things. Will not only lead things to the win for this race, but he'll lead things to the championship.
Well, Shenjay's done it again. He's ahead, down into turn 8, but guess who's on his rear? It's Alex Bido once again. I think this is just 2 rivals having a dance now. I think Shenjay might be accepting his fate. I'm not sure. As Alex Bido now again up the inside into 11. You gotta say, you expect this is the bottom. Shenjay looks to the cutback, but he doesn't find it. He just finds the rear of Alex Bido. Luckily, no positional change, well, no spins for Alex here. He still holds on to that podium place, and Shenjay, well, He's still not got a penalty, so he will finish ahead of Alex Villo on track, or on time, I should say, at the end of this race, and will see himself up on that penalty. But he's not going to want to see himself below ZZ9 on that penalty podium, because, well, that means he has failed to win the Drivers' Championship for the club division here. And as it stands, as we go on to the last lap for these leaders, that looks like that's exactly what is going to happen here.
I think this has been something that I think if you were to go and say, Alex, thoughts on what you did in the race, he'd say, I've been waiting to do that all season, man. That's what he'll say to you. I guarantee he's been put in such a position here. I think he's really crushed Shenjay. I think he's crushed Shenjay. ZZ9, Domi, Bido, your top 3 in this race, all with penalties. Shenjay, the only one in the top 5 without them. But Bido, having been the rear gunner in this final phase of the race, it's as if he was just standing at the gate and just not letting Shenjay through.
Well, Bido's finished 3rd in the standings where Shenjay got a Drivers' Championship once this season. He evidently did not want it to happen a second time, and he's prevented exactly that here this evening as someone who has been so strong all season. ZZ9 and that number 42 Mercedes coming now through the final sector here around Abu Dhabi, and it's not just going to be a win here around the Yas Marina circuit, it is the World Drivers' Championships. The fireworks will go off to celebrate, and there it is, ladies and gentlemen. The championship is tied up, and ZZ9 wins it out. Shenjay promoted to P2, but it's not enough. He actually got Domi as well, but it's not enough. 3.5 seconds separate the two championship rivals. Bido comes home in 4th.
Wow. I'm speechless. ZZ9, ladies and gentlemen, your Season 3 Misfits Racing League Club Division Drivers' Champion. And it was a serious Drivers' Championship win. I think he's got to take a lot of happiness in that win. A season with these guys is not an easy season, and this was the tightest championship bout we've had in and amongst all 5 of our grids. And I'll tell you something, Season 4, I think we're going to see a lot more of these. A lot more of these. Wow. What a race.
That was truly incredible, man. That is drama to the max. One driver realizing they cannot get the championship for themselves, so they get the unique opportunity of picking and choosing who they want out of their 2 rivals to take the opportunity. And while Alex Villo chose ZZ9, and, well, his decision sealed the deal.
Anybody that's watched this entire season will have a very clear picture, a very clear picture as to why Alex Bido chose ZZ9 over Shenjay. I mean, I think more importantly, I think it's a matter of respect. Bido fought ZZ9 all season long. All season long. Ben the Bear, the favorite who was going to win this championship, I think. The driver that wanted to win it now, I think he's just saying, adios, amigos. It's done. Of course, the Thai driver, he is in Alex Albon's car. And we know how that cookie crumbled, and that's a big shout out to my dear friend, Mr. Dirk Chocolate. That's a bit of an inside joke there, but yeah. Albon, hope to see him back racing full-time in Formula 1. Ben the Bear, Thai driver, the only Thai driver in the MRL on this grid. Closing it out here in Abu Dhabi.
What a way to round out Season 3, not only Club Division, but Season 3 as a whole. That was truly something to watch. Those drivers put on one hell of a show for us.
Well, ZZ9, I don't think looking back on this race, I mean, you have to understand a lot of these drivers, they look back on these races, they watch these replays, and they go and they look at the comments, and they understand what the hype was all about. And I think ZZ9, looking back on this race, Unicorn, is going to be thrilled that it was this race that he took a championship in, and it was this grid. Wow.
Yeah, it's been just incredible. Not only this race, but all throughout. Driver of the day goes to Fraser. Very loyal teammate to ZZ9. We've seen them work together so strongly, and they've taken the Drivers' Championship now as well as the Constructors, and there he is, picking up the final Winners' Trophy of the year.
That was a thrilling race. Let us know in the chat if you agree. Of course, don't go too far, because after some closing statements, as always, everyone, we're going to raid a member of the F1 2020 community. That's what it's all about, baby. It's all about community, and man, this race was popping. ZZ9 from third to the win, taking the driver's title for Club Division once again, Season 3, Misfits Racing League action. Wow, of course, Shenjay from 5th to 2nd in this one. Domi rounds out the podium, the Hungarian, the Tier 2 champion, who was also partaking through the Club Division, from 8th to 3rd. Bido, he started 4th, he finishes 4th after a very long stint in lead of things. I think the penalty cost him that one. And I want to say, I think ZZ9 might go on over there and just give him a big old smooch, because Bido did him a big favor in this one. Naughty Neon, 5th, the Dutchman. But not the Dutchman who's been driving all season. That is Neon, the reserve Dutchman. He started this race in 10th. He finishes 5th. Fraser, the Dane, he finishes 6th from 14th. A good drive from him. Freeware, the German, 7th is where he began this one. He finishes there as well. Barbie Butt, 11th to 8th. Then it was Wavy starting in 9th. He finishes 9th. The other Dutchman, the Dutchman we're so familiar with, of course, Remco van Putten now. He finishes 10th after starting in 13th. And the Bear, collecting that fastest lap, if I'm not mistaken, it was a 1:33.792, and that was definitely something of importance there. Him and Freeware taking that fastest lap out of Shenjay's hands, definitely playing a role through that race. But I am beyond excited with how that one ended. Let's have your take on it there, Unicorn.
Yeah, that's something quite unlike anything I've ever really seen in league racing before. Just hugely just dramatic finale to Club, and you know, coming off with a red flag last week, and I don't think we knew how that one was going to go down. You know, Abu Dhabi has put through some very unpredictable races, not only here in Club but EU, Tier 2, Tier 1. Every grid we've got a different race, and well, that one possibly the most unique of them all, a Drivers' Championship coming down into the event and ending in a way we've never seen anything end like that before. It was just truly spectacular from not only ZZ9 for taking the win, but Alex Bitter as well for sacrificing himself for that. It was just that's gonna stick with us for a while. And Fraser just messaged me saying us Mercedes and Bido teamed up for Abu Dhabi. he's obviously elated with how that one's gone down.
Yeah.
So yeah, very, you know, just a brilliant race. It's been a joy to commentate that one and all of them with you for season 3, Striff. And I look very much forward to season 4. And thank you for all the kind words in the chat as well. I am reading it. And yeah, Merry Christmas, everyone. Happy holidays. And yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, this is going to be it for us ahead of this lovely festive holiday season. Of course, Merry Christmas to everybody. Have a Happy New Year. We are going to have more racing action ahead of Season 4, some pickup events. Make sure you jump in on that Discord because we have a ton of stuff coming to you. And all I can say is Season 4, you aren't going to want to miss it. So if you haven't hit that follow button, help us out. Hit the follow. It's all about community. Of course, hit that apply. We're going to jump on out. We're going to raid a member of the Misfits community, not just a member of the Misfits community, but a fantastic racer, a Formula 1 2020 streamer. His name is, of course, Darian Alfie. Help him out. He's a Croatian driver. He's a very fast driver, and he's just a lovely guy. So check him out. Give him the love, and we will see all of you, very soon in the new year. Have a very happy 2021.